I was 6 years old, I was introduced to the sheriff at the time. I asked him, what do you do for work? He goes, I'm in the business of helping people. And then he followed it up, there but for the grace of God, the why. And those answers resonated with me then, and they resonate with me now. As a child then, and as an adult now, the empathy and pay it forward philosophy is something that I'd like to show to everybody in the community when I have the opportunity. I want to help people, that's why I'm running for sheriff. I want to reduce the sheriff's executive bloated budget. I want to bring female detainees and inmates back to Berkshire County. I want to improve hiring diversity and also create promotional opportunities for people of color. And I want to help create a nonviolent community for my wife and twin babies, and I want that safe environment for you and your families as well. I understand the incumbent wants to keep his job, is not pleased that I want to take it. I get that. And regardless of what unpleasantness my team and I have had to endure this summer, we pledged to always keep this campaign to professional issues and never personal ones. And I'm so happy that my campaign leaders stayed true to this. And I want to thank Brandon Mauer, our manager, Patrick Gable, our community leader, and Melissa Odell, our committee leader, and the rest of the committee as well. Now that being said, we're never going to back off any issues that we feel need to be exposed to sunlight. I'll give no quarter on that end, nor do I expect any from the incumbent. From October of 2015 to this past June, I met 4 times per Tom Buller's request with one of his trusted executive leadership team members. The bottom line, it was suggested I not run for sheriff in 2016 or this time. Obviously, I stand here before you this evening. I thought this request came about because the incumbent and his executive leadership team, they were so concerned about my public safety pedigree, my correctional resume experience, and my ability to fundraise, and my connections throughout Berkshire County, and my work effort and intensity when I set my mind to something, and so on. That may have been part of it, but what my team and I quickly discovered was this. There was absolutely no appetite by the incumbent or his executive leadership team to have me pull back this curtain regarding the management of the Berkshire County Sheriff's Office over the past 12 years. And as we've explored throughout the summer, there were some very good reasons trying to keep me out of this campaign. This incumbent chose not to participate in the August 2022 Bridge Racial Justice Candidate Forum held in Great Barrington. He chose not to participate in the August 24th North Adams and Williamstown Democratic Committee Greylock Community Club Forum held in North Adams. He chose not to participate in the NAACP August 29th virtual forum, and they were forced to ultimately, unfortunately, cancel that event. Also in early June, we contacted the Berkshire Brigade's Democratic organization, and we requested that they consider hosting a debate sometime this summer. Unfortunately, they opted not to host a debate or a forum, rather they just did one for the district attorney's office for candidates. Lastly on this note, while the Berkshire Eagle newspaper has some outstanding reporters, we were hoping one would be here tonight. I don't see her. The management team has demonstrated throughout the summer it does not have the fortitude to challenge the status quo and to expose the sheriff's leadership for what it currently is. An agency that the taxpayers fund, that hides from the public, has no new ideas, with a top-heavy bureaucracy, with no watchdog report out or public accountability. Over the past 13 weeks, our campaign team presented the Eagle 35 press releases. A 36th is coming out tomorrow. They were informative, they were accurate, bringing the Eagle's attention issue after issue, uncovering the jail's lackluster performance record, its lack of vision, its lack of change, its good old boy network, its elite command structure. The Eagle covered almost none of our research, including the leadership at the jail. When there's no capacity by the Eagle to do the investigative journalism, we quickly learn we have to do that work ourselves, and that's what we did. The Eagle slept through the first 12 years of the incumbent and executive leadership team's dynasty. In our opinion, it looks like they're prepared to snooze through the next 6 years. For those reasons, and to fill these regrettable voids, we scheduled this evening's event. We are so happy you choose to spend this time with us. This is video, this speech. This is going to go out to 5,000 people afterwards. We stand by what we say. Some of you may know that I'm currently on leave as the Chief Probation Officer of the Southern Berkshire District, a management position I've held for 18 years. I started my career in 1991 as a correctional officer at the jail here in Pittsfield, and after getting a degree in business administration, I returned to public service. I've also previously served in the Central and Northern Berkshire districts. I have over 28 combined years of law enforcement, public safety, and correctional experience. I worked with 3 sheriffs and 5 facilities across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I previously co-managed the Berkshire County Community Corrections Center, now known as the Pittsfield Community Justice Resource Center. I've been a proud union member throughout 5 different locals. As the previous City of Pittsfield School Committee Chair, I administered and managed the $67 million annual operating budget with my Vice Chair, Kathy Young. I took those hard votes to not provide to pay any raises for the Pittsfield Public School leadership team, rather allocating this funding for direct services for students. These were uncomfortable votes, to be sure, but necessary for fiscal discipline. As Vice Chair of the Pittsfield Community Development Board, I assisted in spearheading the elimination of slum and blight equitably throughout sections and neighborhoods in the City of Pittsfield. I've had multiple performance awards throughout my career. I'm currently the Pittsfield Public Schools varsity boys and girls coach, the Alpine Race team. And most importantly, I'm a loving husband, son, brother, and recently a proud father of these twin babies. I'm going to be 17 months next week. The sheriff has the ability to make a huge difference in the life of residents of Berkshire County. If you, the voters, elect me as sheriff of Berkshire County next week on day 1, I will. 1, I'm going to run a tight fiscal ship. I'm going to emphasize fiscal budgetary stewardship, accountability, and transparency. During the incumbent's last 2 terms, the cost of housing a single inmate increased over 200%, more than tuition for a Harvard undergraduate student. In 2016, we had the highest cost in Massachusetts, $87,000 per inmate. And in 2022, the state found we had the highest staff per inmate ratio in the whole state, while at the same time, the inmate population reduced from a little less than 400 to a current count of 153. Additionally, at this time, the executive leadership team nearly doubled from 8 to 14 positions. I don't think it's right to provide take-home cars and gas cars to employees making $180,000 or more a year who don't even live in Berkshire County. I don't think it's right passing up promoting our loyal rank-and-file employees, but instead hiring externally, which is the trend, for captain positions, which are wonderful jobs up there. They demand 6-figure salaries and higher. And these individuals now come inbound, they work 3 years often, and they have enhanced pension, and then they leave. Rather, I want to save that money so we can pay for more programming to help for men and women inmates. And again, ultimately, it's always usually about one thing and one thing only: securing legitimate employment upon release, while simultaneously rewarding our rank-and-file employees. They put in years, they put in decades, and it's been loyal service. And we got to provide these correctional employees with the well-deserved career advancement opportunities. We will effectively maximize operations at this House of Correction with future additions of a regional lockup with a transportation protocol, housing for our civil commitments, and lastly, we're going to have a new build-out on that property. It's 25 acres, it's beautiful. For those that have been by it, we're going to have a Berkshire County juvenile incarcerated population there, and we will get that done. Real leaders lead and find pathways for the greater good. They don't just talk about it and go along to get along. No more excuses about why we can't get things done. There's just future results coming to Berkshire County if I'm elected. When I win, the Berkshire County Sheriff's Office will do its part to enhance public safety throughout the county. It's a central concern for me that 2 of our Berkshire County communities are consistently ranked in the top 10 per capita for violent crime statistics in Massachusetts. A goal of mine as sheriff will be to drive down the number of crimes committed by people who have been inmates in our House of Correction but end up back there. Remember, 97% of these folks will be released in the short term and will ultimately be one of your neighbors. When these folks are gainfully employed and supported, the recidivism rate drops dramatically, and the safety in your neighborhood increases dramatically. Currently, with some limited exceptions, these folks are receiving little to no services, just effectively being warehoused. Those days are soon coming to an end. We will utilize what I've named the anti-recidivism triangle for inmate success. We will mitigate their substance use issues. Because I truly believe, we will mitigate their substance use issues. In 2005, my father, who was a Central Berkshire District presiding justice, stated to the media at the time that the Berkshire Medical Center emergency room was the biggest drug dealer in the county. It's a shocking statement, but he was so spot on about recognizing the coming freight train of opiate abuse. and the overprescribing pain medication from healthcare providers to unsuspecting patients, which would unfortunately always evolve or often evolve to the same ex-patients being forced ultimately and illegally to purchase heroin, when their OxyContin and Percocet prescriptions were no longer provided. With my father's encouragement, I created and implemented the Berkshire Partnership and Care Pilot Program along with Berkshire Health Systems to combat opiate abuse. This was well before the May of 2019 federal court decision mandating provisions of medically assisted treatment. We will provide continuing education to our inmates. Education is the great equalizer. Without these opportunities, it's nearly impossible to succeed in any walk of life. These folks will pursue and obtain GEDs, high school diplomas, and perhaps when time allows for, introductory college credits. And these efforts will lead to our most important deliverable, which I've already mentioned, and I'll mention again. We will prepare these individuals with skill sets and tools to gain legitimate, worthy employment in our communities. Unfortunately, recidivism statistics are not tracked by the current administration. This would be an easy step, one I would take as soon as I'm elected. We simply keep track of who comes in, who leaves, and who comes back. And we will report this out to the communities about how effective we are regarding rehabilitation and lack of recidivism, or perhaps not, but people will know. What I've just described there is actual transparency. That's what the public deserves and has not been getting for the last 12 years. We can have an impact on crime reduction in Berkshire County. One important way to do that is by actually offering services and support, not only in the jail, but after release, to help inmates move beyond addiction with educational support, family integration support, and medically assisted treatment. We have an unbelievably successful program. It's the now named Pittsfield Community Justice Support Center, which, as I stated, I used to manage. In almost 12 years, the incumbent and his team never sent one individual there for treatment. When I'm elected, that changes immediately. We have to set a goal of reducing recidivism as dramatically as possible. And I would like to see one day where 0 communities in Berkshire County are on the top 10 crime list for Massachusetts. For that to happen, the Sheriff's Office must be part of the solution, and I pledge to lead that effort. Number 3, I will start the planning, identification, and reallocation of resources to bring female detainees and inmates back to Berkshire County. It was a good deal for Hamden County, but not Berkshire County back in 2014. Other sheriff's offices agree with our position to remove the women from Chicopee, and they've already opted out of that arrangement. These women are a tremendously disadvantaged population due to socioeconomic and criminogenic factors. And then to necessitate a 3-hour round trip for their children, family, loved ones, and attorneys to visit them is cruel and perhaps even gender discriminatory. The female population needs the most help, not banishment from their support center. No more horror stories from women being ripped out of their families in Berkshire County. This is an absolute true story. I was at Pittsfield Country Club last night, and a woman approached me that was an ex-inmate from not too long ago. Everything I'm saying, she basically parroted me without me saying one word. That's a true story. We've heard many of these stories along the campaign trail. And these women also were subjected to exorbitant price collect telephone calls once they arrived in Chicopee. That should be resolved sooner than later. As you may know, we sent in a request to Congressman Neal to remove these phone charges altogether. And also collateral agencies like DCF having to dedicate an entire day for these women to receive visits from their children. This is just a partial list of the deficiencies regarding this horrible arrangement. We know we have the facility accommodations and also the budget to bring the women back. I will also immediately prioritize resolving more than 10 years of repeated health violations in our jail, and the women will benefit from this. This is recently acknowledged in an audit that we finally gained access to through a Freedom of Information request. We also have first-rate treatment providers and clinicians who currently live in Berkshire County. And because these inmates are returning, we're going to create excellent jobs in Berkshire County for Berkshire County people, for care providers that have the expertise and are ready to work. And lastly, we already have the program available for these women. I've listened personally to my heart. I've been in the business for almost 30 years, trusted my instincts, but we've also solicited opinions from state and national experts and our community leaders who have a vested interest in this. And there's only one solution to answer our concerns, and that's to treat women equally. That's the bottom line. Separate but equal is not equal, nor should this arrangement be tolerated any longer. Number 4, I'm going to increase the diversity of the Sheriff's executive leadership team. That's a priority. All employees deserve to have legitimate pathways to achieving their goals and also feel sincerely heard. The Berkshire County Sheriff's Office needs to embrace inclusion, not run from it, and listen to women and minorities when they speak up. The incumbent said in the last debate that people of color are in his life, but where are they? There are no people of color on his executive leadership team whatsoever. None. That's almost statistically impossible in America in 2022, but yet it's true. How many good employees have quit in frustration during the past 12 years? How many employment discrimination lawsuits are going to be filed before we acknowledge there's a problem at Cheshire Road? When I started as president of the Massachusetts Chief Probation Officer Association Incorporated, only 28% of this executive leadership team was non-Caucasian or non-male. When I concluded my term this past May, that was after 8 years, the executive leadership team accelerated to 68% of Black, Hispanic, and Asian representation. Thank you. It's a common theme. You can talk about it or you can do it. If we respect these current correctional employees in Berkshire County, we will see the results, and we will have satisfied, committed, and perhaps most importantly, retained employees, not a revolving door. Number 5, when I'm elected during the next 6 years, I will not be in the business of being a boss hog, aspiring Berkshire County political kingmaker. We have a current incumbent who's gone out of his way in the past 12 years attempting to influence 2 City of Pittsfield mayoral elections, 2 district attorney elections, including the current one, last register a probate election, and this list may not be all-inclusive. That's not my leadership style to begin with, but on top of that, we've had 3 deaths and 2 escapes under the incumbent and his executive leadership team's watch during the past 9 years that we now know of. I will not spend time attempting to influence any local election outcomes, and understandably, I won't burn any bridges with elected officials who ultimately win these, but rather I'm going to spend my time and attention directed at care and custody operations on Cheshire Road. That's where the focus should be. The good byproduct on this is the next sheriff should have the ability to have a good working relationship with the district attorney, whoever that may be, with the City of Pittsfield mayor, they are retired currently, with the other county leaders and the chiefs of police. And simply stated, I do. 6th, and lastly, I have publicly pledged to self-impose a 2-term limit maximum. No one needs 18 years in this type of office. If the incumbent cannot get the job done in the past 12 years, I can all but guarantee it's not going to happen in the next 6 years. In my opinion, it's very rare that anything good happens in elected government after the 10 to 15-year time period. Around this time, the agenda pivots from what can I do to serve the public and the taxpayers, and it switches to how can I serve myself and my leadership team. That is why we always need to refresh elected leadership at the national, state, city, and town levels. In conclusion, my family, my campaign committee, my supporters, and I have sacrificed incredibly in a multitude of ways to be a candidate this summer for the Berkshire County Sheriff position, because I do truly believe it's time for change. And it's been such a pleasure connecting with the thousands of citizens throughout Berkshire County since early June, and having these discussions that really matter to these prospective voters. The 6 pledges I've outlined are achievable, but different leadership is needed. And it's needed now. Remember, these are lengthy 6-year terms. My opponent said he's building a dynasty. Those were his words, they weren't my words. I don't want to build a dynasty. I just want to spend taxpayer money wisely, treat all staff equitably, and provide sheriff resources to all those in need in Berkshire County. If you have any questions or concerns that maybe I haven't touched upon during this campaign or this evening, please visit our Barbalunga.com website. Information is well-researched, fact-checked, sources are cited, companion links are provided. It's Barbalunga.com. And also feel free to contact me directly. I will respond in a timely manner. We've had an impressive 90 days on the campaign trail so far. We're going to finish like champions over the next 5 days. I truly believe we're going to win this election, and you should as well. I'm going to leave you with a poignant quote from Nelson Mandela. No one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but rather its lowest ones. My name is Alf Barbalunga. It's time for change. If you agree, please vote for me as your next Berkshire County Sheriff. Thank you, stay well, have a wonderful holiday weekend, and any questions, please fire at me afterwards.